items on the City Council's closed session agenda. The City Council did not reach item 2A. With respect to items 2B and C, there was no reportable action taken. With respect to item 3, the City Council has authorized the initiation of litigation against the persons responsible for the Rancho fire.
Thank you for that report. And so now we have 3 items of extraordinary business. And the first one is something that I wanted to start, in 2027 will be the city's 100th year anniversary. And obviously, that's a special, we have a very unique history in this town. And so one of the things that I want to start doing is perhaps every, we need to work out the details, but once every 2 months, we have a presentation. And so thanks to Laguna Beach Historical Society for their help in doing this. We are going to hear today about from Carol Lloyd, who I think is here in the, hey Carol, about she's going to share talk about her mother's extensive research on Laguna Beach's 39 homesteaders starting from the 1870s, and share about the map and the research. And so thank you for being here, and looking forward to this this presentation. So thank you.
Thank you for having me, Mayor.
Yes.
I appreciate your invitation for us to talk. My name, as you mentioned, is Carol Viebeck Lloyd, and I'm on the board with the Laguna Beach Historical Society. And some of my fellow board members are here tonight to encourage me. This is a short presentation. I'm usually used to a longer one, but because of that, I'm going to follow my notes a little bit so I don't go down any rabbit trails, which I could do. So my family goes back to Laguna Beach history for 6 generations, back to the 1870s. And it all started, and back then it was a rugged settlement, right, with hills and ocean and nothing, just bare land. So it's been fascinating to be a part of that. And this is my mother's homestead map that she put together in the mid-1990s. And I will talk to you further about that in subsequent meetings, because there's so much that I could share that I have to be really careful not to overshare in the short period of time that I have. So I want to start with, in 1873, my great-great-great-grandfather, Henry Rogers, acquired a homestead under Abraham Lincoln's Homestead Act that was started in 1862. And that Homestead Act required anybody who received a Homestead Act to open up the West. He wanted to open up that West. And in order to do that, you had to settle a claim by living on the property that you acquired, and build on it and then maintain it. You had to prove up within 5 years, otherwise you lost that homestead. You didn't maybe lose it, but you had to pay for it. So Henry's property expanded 160 acres from Temple Hills over to Bluebird Canyon. So he lived right up above here, all the way over of 160 acres. And his property he was one of the 39 pioneering homesteaders that started Laguna Beach. Laguna Beach didn't start with the missions, didn't come through. They bypassed Laguna Beach and went inland. So the homesteaders were the ones who truthfully, legally got land from Abraham Lincoln's Homestead Act. And that's how Laguna Beach started. And a lot of people don't know that, but it's so great to be able to give that message to everybody and carry on my mother's legacy that she worked so long and hard on. So his homestead was signed by Rutherford B. Hayes, because you had to have your homestead signed by the president who existed at that time. So now going on to his son, George Rogers, who is my great-great-uncle, he in 1881 bought his own homestead. And he bought the homestead from the Rawson brothers of downtown Laguna all the way back to Canyon Acres Drive down to Main Beach. And that was 155 acres. And he added more on to that. So you'll see sometimes in historical records that that's called the Rogers Addition. And that was George Rogers, the son of Henry Rogers. If I had a map, I could share it with you a little bit better for those visual learners of us that are that. So he built also his family home called the Ranch House. So he lived right here at the city hall in the ranch house. He built it for his growing family, which ended up being 8 children and his wife. And you can see a painting by Roy Ropp, the artist Roy Ropp. As you walk into the city hall, to the right wall is called the Old Ranch House, and it's hanging right there. So I encourage you guys to look to the right above the desks over there to see that. Going on from there, he planted in 1885 with his oldest daughter, Sarah, who was 6 years old, the pepper tree right here. And I am so thankful to him for planting it, but I'm also very thankful for all the work that Laguna Beach has done to maintain that pepper tree. All the meetings, all the concrete that was poured inside of it, all the wire, all of that. I'm so thankful. And it's thriving. It's amazing that that tree is thriving, because pepper trees eat from the inside out, and they only live to about 150 years at the most. So, and I'm just, the devoted care of that has been amazing. So George wasn't just an early homesteader. He had a vision of starting a small town in Laguna. So he then took his horse-drawn road scraper and plowed and scraped Forest Avenue into a dirt road. And he called it Forest Avenue because he and his father, Henry, planted all the eucalyptus trees, the early grove eucalyptus trees. And then he did the same to Ocean Avenue. He plowed and turned that into a dirt road, and he called it Ocean because from here at his ranch house, he could see the ocean. So it's exciting to see those names of those streets and know that there's a story behind them. And so what he did was divide that into 323 lots. He paid for a survey. It was very expensive at that time in the 1880s. And those 323 lots are still, that configuration, the grid of the streets is still the same except for a few changes. So I am so thrilled to be able to preserve what my mother has done, which I'll share in the future about, how she has laid out all the titles that she got primary researched up in Sacramento with my father in 1990s. And she constructed this out of a street map of Laguna Beach. And she documented all those titles. That was primary research. That wasn't secondary research. She went up to Sacramento and found every single title of every homestead. And she put it in this notebook, and those are all the titles of those homesteads that she got off of microfiche up in Sacramento. So she called me the day that she found them, and it was almost as if she discovered gold. She was just so excited. So I'm thankful for all the stories and the legacy that my family has left and other families here that have left, and my mother's effort, and I thank you for having me.
Thank you. That was very interesting. A great way to start the meeting, and we'll come down and do a picture. And yeah. You want to do a picture together? That was it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Again, thank you, Carol, and to the Laguna Beach Historical Society for that. And so now we are going to change, course a little bit here.